I am reporting from the heart of the gem trade in Antwerp. Here, a single piece of Imperial Jade can fetch $100,000 at auction. But the shocking truth is, if you saw that same stone in a riverbed in California, Wyoming, or British Columbia, you would probably kick it aside as a mossy pebble. Today, I will show you the flashlight secret that separates a $1 million fortune from a piece of river trash. Professional gem hunters know something you do not. Some of these ugly green rocks are rare, and the only thing standing between you and a hidden fortune is a few minutes of knowledge. By the end of this video, you will never look at a creek bed the same way again. Let's start with the first deception, what the Antwerp market calls mud, and what the world's elite collectors call treasure. Picture a dull, battered stone caked in river silt, the kind you would use to prop open a barn door. It is cold, heavy, and utterly unremarkable. But inside there is a secret, a core of Nephrite jade, forged under tectonic pressure, locked away for millions of years. This is the stone that built empires in China, that is traded in Antwerp for more than diamonds, and that has been overlooked by generations of prospectors. So, what is the science? Jade, both Nephrite and Jadeite, is born in the crucible of metamorphic violence. You are not looking for pretty rocks. You are looking for serpentinite belts, those twisted, greasy-looking outcrops that snake through the mountains. Where you find slickensides, those shiny, striated fault surfaces, jade is usually hiding nearby, camouflaged among worthless chert and jasper. Here is how you spot the difference. First, the ugly exterior, a battered, mossy green, sometimes with a reddish rind from weathering. It looks like industrial waste, but the hidden treasure is inside. Take a strong flashlight and press it against the stone. Real jade glows with a soft, waxy light, a fibrous inner glow that no other rock can fake. That is the flashlight's secret. Unlike jasper, which stays dark, or quartz, which flashes glassy and clear, jade scatters light in a way that looks almost alive. And the heft, pick it up. Jade is heavy for its size. That is specific gravity at work. Nephrite runs 2.9 to 3.1. Jadeite even higher. If you have a kitchen scale and a cup of water, you can prove it in 60 seconds. Weigh the stone in air, then weigh it submerged. Divide the first number by the difference. If you are in the right range, you are holding something special. But the real test is the sound. Tap it with a steel rod or another piece of jade. Real jade rings, a clear, bell-like clink that echoes through your bones. Fakes thud or clack, but jade sings. That is the dense, interlocking crystal lattice at work, the same structure that makes it tougher than steel. Now, let us talk value. In Antwerp, Imperial Jadeite, vivid translucent green, sells for $20,000 to $100,000 per carat. The world record is over $27 million for a single necklace. Even common nephrite, if it is clean and translucent, can fetch hundreds of dollars per carat. But in the field, it is just a muddy rock, until you know what to look for. This is what nature hides from the impatient. But if you think that is impressive, wait until you see what is lurking in the next riverbed. Imagine standing on the banks of the Klamath River in Northern California. The gravel is littered with green stones, most of them worthless. But one, just one, is different. It is slick, almost greasy to the touch, with a faint shimmer on its surface. That is your first indicator, serpentinite. Where you find serpentinite, you find the birthplace of jade. The ugly exterior is deceptive, dull, sometimes pitted, with streaks of black or white. But inside, the hidden treasure is a core of nephrite, sometimes so pure it looks like frozen water. The geology here is a story of tectonic violence, oceanic plates grinding against the continent, squeezing and cooking rocks until they transform. Jade is the survivor, the last mineral standing after millions of years of pressure. So, how do you identify it? Look for slicken sides, those shiny, striated surfaces on the serpentinite. They are the scars of ancient earthquakes, and they mark the pathways where mineral-rich fluids once flowed. Jade forms in these zones, often right at the contact between serpentinite and harder rocks like chert or granite. The identification protocol is simple. First, the flashlight test. Hold the stone up to a strong light. If it glows with that signature, waxy translucency, you are on the right track. Next, the heft. Jade is always heavier than it looks. And finally, the clink. Tap it gently. If it rings, you are in business. Value check. Even low-grade nephrite from the Klamath can sell for $50 to $100 per pound. But the best pieces, deep green, translucent, free of cracks, can fetch thousands. In the right hands, a river pebble becomes a fortune. This is the lesson. The earth rewards those who look beneath the surface. But what if the next stone looks even more worthless? Picture a battered chunk of green chert, half buried in the mud along the Feather River. It's dull, chalky, and brittle. Nothing like the jade you've seen in museums. But here is the twist. Chert is the ultimate worthless twin. To the untrained eye, it's identical to nephrite. To a veteran prospector, it is a trap. The ugly exterior is a master of disguise. Chert can be green, brown, or even black, and it often forms in the same places as jade. But the hidden treasure is missing. Chert is brittle, with a conchoidal fracture, a shell-like break that is sharp and glassy. Jade, by contrast, breaks with a splintery, fibrous edge. The science is simple. Chert is microcrystalline quartz, formed from the siliceous remains of ancient sea creatures. It is hard, 6.5 to 7 on the Mohs scale, but it is not tough. Drop it, and it shatters. Jade, on the other hand, is nearly unbreakable thanks to its interlocking crystal structure. Here is the identification protocol. First, the steel file test. Drag a file across the surface. On chert, you will leave a deep scratch. On jade, the file will skate off, leaving nothing but a faint, wipeable line. That is the difference between a doorstop and a diamond. Value check. Chert is worthless. Nephrite, even in rough form, can be worth hundreds. The only thing separating them is knowledge. This is what separates the lucky from the skilled. And if you think you have seen every trick, the next stone will change your mind. Now, let us move north to British Columbia, the jade capital of the world. Here the rivers run cold and fast, and the gravel bars are littered with green boulders. Most are serpentinite, soft, greasy, and easily scratched. But hidden among them are the true prizes, nephrite boulders that can weigh hundreds of pounds. The ugly exterior is a masterclass in camouflage. Weathered, pitted, and sometimes covered in a rusty rind, these stones look like nothing special. The hidden treasure is inside. When you cut them open, the core is a deep, translucent green, sometimes with swirling patterns that look like frozen smoke. The geology here is textbook. British Columbia's jade formed at the contact zones between ultramafic rocks and chert under immense pressure. The best boulders are found in riverbeds where glaciers and floods have stripped away the overburden. Identification protocol. First, look for weight. Jade boulders are always heavier than they look. Next, try the flashlight test. Even through a thick rind, you can sometimes see a faint glow at the edges. Finally, listen for the clink. A true jade boulder will ring like a bell when struck. Value check. In 2019, a prospector pulled a 200-pound nephrite boulder from the Fraser River. After cutting and polishing, it sold for over $50,000. That is the kind of fortune hiding in plain sight. This is the reward for those who refuse to settle for the obvious. But the most valuable stone of all is still to come. Now, let's talk about the crown jewel, the stone that turns mud into millions. Imperial Jadeite is so rare, most prospectors will never see it in the wild. But it does exist, even in North America. The ugly exterior is the ultimate deception. Imperial Jadeite can look like a lump of mossy river rock, with a dull, pitted surface and no hint of its true value. But inside, it is electric, a vivid, translucent green that glows like a traffic light under the flashlight. This is the stone that built dynasties in China, that is traded in Antwerp for more than diamonds, and that has been overlooked by generations of prospectors. The science is extraordinary. Jadeite forms in subduction zones, where oceanic plates are forced deep beneath the continent. The pressure and chemistry have to be just right. 1 in a million. That is why Imperial Jadeite is so rare, and why it commands prices that make diamonds look cheap. The identification protocol is unforgiving. First, the flashlight test. Imperial Jadeite glows with an intensity that is almost supernatural, an inner fire that no other stone can match. Next, the heft. Jadeite is even heavier than nephrite, with a specific gravity up to 3.38. And finally, the clink. The sound is sharper, more resonant, a pure, bell-like ring that lingers in the air. But here is the real-world story. In 2014, a single necklace of Imperial Jadeite beads sold at auction for over $27 million. That is more than most people will earn in a lifetime, all for a stone that could have been mistaken for river trash. This is the ultimate lesson. The earth hides its greatest treasures in plain sight. So, how do you test these stones at home? Here's the protocol every pro uses. First, the scratch test. Take a steel file or knife and drag it across a clean, inconspicuous spot. If it leaves a deep scratch, it is not jade. If it skates off, leaving only a faint line, you are in business. Next, the flashlight test. In a dark room, press a strong LED light against the stone. Real jade glows with a soft, even light. It is never patchy or glassy. Look for fibrous or granular patterns inside. Then, the specific gravity test. Weigh the stone in air, then weigh it submerged in water. Divide the first number by the difference. If you are in the 2.9 to 3.1 range for nephrite, or the 3.3 to 3.38 range for jadeite, you have something special. And finally, the clink test. Tap the stone with a metal rod or another piece of jade. Listen for a clear, ringing sound. If it thuds or clacks, it is probably a fake. Remember, no single test is foolproof. The pros use all three, and when in doubt, get a lab to confirm. Let us bring it back to the most shocking rock, the Imperial Jadeite, that looked like river trash. You now possess the knowledge for your next walk.